What's up, YouTube? It's been a minute since I uploaded. I apologize. I've been in the middle of moving from Sedona back to Cali, and then to LA, and then from LA I'm going to Ojai. You might see my place is a little bit more of a mess, a little changed up, just because a friend's been living here. I promise the mess isn't mine, but it's been a lot going on. I have so many cool videos for you guys, but I promised myself I wouldn't post another one of my adventure videos until I got another book review done. So, without further ado, let's review Confessions of an English Opium Eater by Thomas De Quincey. First and foremost, I want to give a special shout out and thanks to KD Books. He has an awesome YouTube channel. This is the second book he's recommended me. Both of them have been awesome. The first one he recommended was this one called Naked Earth, and it takes place during the Communist Revolution in China. And it's essentially about how communism essentially is the ideology of people that scream when Elon Musk talks about free speech on Twitter. And I don't know, communism is just for beta males. It's a great book. This is a little different. It was written in, I believe, 1812, 1840, somewhere in between there. And it's just one of the first accounts of a Westerner really documenting what the opium experience is like and how it's played into his life. Before we get into it, let's read a quote. Let's start with a quote. Yeah, this one's a little long, but bear with me. I think it does a great job encapsulating kind of how this book is written and all that. So on page 101, it explains the effects of opium. The opium eater will find, in the end, as oppressive and tormenting as any other, from the sense of incapacity and feebleness, from the direct and embarrassments and incident to the neglect or procrastination of each day's appropriate duties, and from the remorse which must often exasperate the stings of these evils to a reflective and conscientious mind. The opium eater loses none of his moral sensibilities or aspirations. He wishes and longs as earnestly as ever to realize what he believes possible, and feels to be exacted by duty, but his intellectual apprehension of what is possible infinitely outruns his power, not of execution only, but even a power to attempt. He lies under the weight of incubus and nightmare. It's pretty cool stuff. So, let's talk about this book a little. First and foremost, since it was written a long time ago, it kind of has like that old English kind of feel to it, which generally I don't like. I find it really hard for me to read those Shakespeare books and whatnot, and it takes time to get into. Luckily, this guy's an awesome writer, and although his style of writing may seem a little old, you can get into his mode of consciousness really quick, and it's easy to pick up. It's generally a small book, so it's about 120 pages, and you can kind of see the text written right there. So it's not like, it's a pretty easy read. And there's a lot of tidbits of wisdom. It does seem like at the beginning, it doesn't really he's just kind of giving context to his life, and you don't really see how it plays out in the end. So I don't know if it's like filler, and it kind of feels that way at sometimes, but either or, it's like beautifully written, getting to know this guy's life and understanding it. The book is also really funny as well. I found it interesting that the guy is, super into metaphysics and stuff, and I guess that comes with the territory of being into altered states of consciousness. We all like to explore territories and beyond what we think is possible because we've experienced non-ordinary things. So I think that's really cool. The character is super relatable. Thomas, the protagonist, or whoever the book's about, the guy that wrote it, so that guy. There is this other quote I really liked on page 61, which talks about the effects of opium as well. And this is comparing how the opium effect, the opium experience differs to the drunk experience. This is on page 61. But the main distinction lies in this, that whereas wine disorders the mental faculties, opium, on the contrary, if taken in a proper manner, parentheses, introduces amongst them the most exquisite order, legislation, and harmony. Wine robs a man of his self-possession. Opium greatly invigorates it. Wine unsettles and clouds the judgment, and gives a preternatural brightness and a vivid exultation to the contempts and the admirations, the loves and the hatreds of the drinker. Opium, on the contrary, communicates serenity and equipoise to all the faculties, active or passive, and with respect and to the temper and moral feelings in general. It gives simply that sort of vital warmth which is approved by the judgment, and which would probably always accompany a bodily constitution of primeval or antediluvian health. Thus, for instance, opium, like wine, gives an expansion to the heart, and benevolent affections, but then with this remarkable difference that in sudden development of kind-heartedness which accompanies inebriation, there's always more or less of a maudlin character, which exposes it to the contempt of the bystander. So, you know, just a really cool comparison. I myself have only tried opium once, and that was in Cambodia. No, it was in Laos. And, you know, it was super cool, but I feel like kind of overrated. Not really into opiates or benzos, all that. Keep it psychedelic in my eyes. You know, that stuff's a lot cooler, a lot more fun. All in all, this is a fantastic book. It does remind me a lot of a very similar book called Diary of a Drug Fiend by Aleister Crowley. I actually prefer that book to this book simply because it seems more well-rounded. There's a lot more to take from it. It's a more interesting story, but that's not to say this isn't a great book. This is pretty much a shorter version, and it's kind of just sticks to opium, whereas Diary of a Drug Fiend is more about Crowley's life. It's kind of a biography, how he got into magic and stuff. And it's kind of funny that both these guys lived around the same time, both into magic, metaphysics, occult, all that. So all in all, I would say this is a fantastic book. Great read, easy to read. I want to give a thanks to KD Books once again for another awesome recommendation. Going to leave a link to his channel down below. And I hope this was a great review. Stay tuned. I'm going to have some awesome party videos and explorations of different places coming out real soon. Appreciate your time, and if you have any cool book recommendations or any thoughts about this book that I left out that you want to express, please leave something in the comments down below. Much love, and appreciate and love you. Thank you.